Hey there, Saber fans, Shamim here. Today's custom Saber may just hold the title of both best and worst name in all of the custom Saber community. This is, of course, the Creepy Uncle. Lukyanov's Episode 8, The Last Jedi Luke Skywalker inspired hilt. Meticulously machined and designed to be quite possibly the most accurate Episode 8 Luke Skywalker lightsaber to date. It is made with, I think I had previously done some kind of short review video. I don't know if I did a video or if I just did a post on Facebook comparing this with the Roman Props Balance V4. The most significant difference to me personally aesthetically between the Creepy Uncle and the Balance is that the Creepy Uncle uses brass for the neck and for the control box area, whereas the Balance uses copper. There is still, wide debate about which one was actually used both for Return of the Jedi as well as for The Last Jedi, and depending on the reference material that you use, it may look more like copper or more like brass, aged copper. So at this point, I'm not entirely sure what was actually used for the props. All I know is that for me personally, I tend to favor the copper tone a little bit more. So just for that reason, personally, the Balance V4 goes a little bit beyond the Creepy Uncle. However, what the Creepy Uncle has going for it is that it is a bit more screen accurate. Measurements were taken from the film and meticulously recreated in this custom saber that on the exterior is probably the closest thing we'll have to a one-to-one scale representation of the prop that Mark Hamill was holding. Internally, of course, it is designed to accept our custom saber electronics. So this is running a Prism 5 point, I think it's 5.5 Prism that I'm using by Plector Labs. It's a Luxon Tri-Rebel LED in green, lime, and white. You've got really, really cool design from the Creepy Uncle is that these two side black transistors are your tactile main and auxiliary switches. There is no activation here in the circuit card, which is where the Balance and many other Luke Skywalker hilts have them, is up underneath the circuit card. It's a 28mm high bass SM speaker, 18650 lithium ion battery housed up here in the grenade section. Internal recharge port, 1-inch thin-walled blade. The blade plug has been drilled just to allow a little bit of light to shine through. This was my personal preference as well as the customer's request, so I accommodated that. And then also for the customer, I added a little bit of light weathering across the length of the hilt. This was achieved using a combination of chemical weathering as well as some hand paint. Let's see if we can adjust the lighting and you can see some of the weathering effects a little bit more. It's very, very light, sparingly used, just a little bit on the grenade section there, and a little bit on the neck. Just to give it a hint of age, because at this point, where Luke becomes the Creepy Uncle and confronts his nephew in the hut, it's been probably 2 decades or so since Return of the Jedi. At least a decade, I think, since Return of the Jedi. Oh, because what? Ben is, 15? So it's been at least 15, maybe 20 years or so since. And we know Force Awakens takes place 30 years, but we don't know how long Luke has been hiding out on the island. Or maybe we do. I haven't kept up to date with all the new material. Anywho, let's... I think that's all I have to say about the exterior of the hilt and the hilt itself. Let's just go ahead and get this guy fired up.
And the last thing I saw were the eyes of a frightened boy whose master had failed him.
So there's sort of an idle blinking, and it alternates from font to font. Either the red light blinks or the green light blinks. But on the font itself, both of them will blink. And there you have just a wee bit of shine through. So you got your bottom one here is auxiliary. Your top one is activation. And press both of them in at the same time to activate color. Your color change. Let's get it right there. I'll get it right. So it's just progressively, it's different shades of green, obviously. It's interesting rocking two tactile switches. I still haven't figured out quite how to do that. Anyway, by the end of the video, I'll be a master at it.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong. I've seen its raw strength only once before. It just can't be enough then. It does now.
I feel something.
You feel it?
Yes, I feel it.
That's the force.
Really?
Wow, it must be really strong
Oh,
of you.
never felt any... Ow!
Brilliant.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Gotta have that classic scene in there.
And the last thing I saw were the eyes of a frightened boy whose master had failed him.
So you got your retention screw up there. It is a metric screw. It is not like an 832 or 632. It is 1.5 millimeters. Now it slides your blade plug. There's a little bit of hot glue on the bottom there just to help dissipate the light. There you've got your Tri-Rebel LED. So it accepts a 1-inch thin-walled blade, which slides over the heat sink in the middle of the emitter there. I love that profile of the super thin neck and then the blade erupting out of the emitter. It's a great look. Let's see if we can get this color change down. We're adding a bit more green. Or a bit more lime, I should say. I may go back into the control box and see if I can play with it a bit more to get it less finicky. Anyway, now it's white. Alrighty. Let's just show off the chassis real quick. I did modify the pommel a little bit to work with the chassis that I have. If you have a Creepy Uncle, you'll know that there is quite a bit more metal that goes on the pommel, another inch or so. That slides. It's supposed to slide over the chassis, but the chassis that I wanted to use did not really allow for that. So there's your recharge port. There's your SD card. what you want to do is have, so this little valley there where the battery would normally go, that should line up with your control box there. And then slide that there. I did put a strip of adhesive Velcro over the side just to make it extra snug. And then your pommel goes in the rest of the way. And nothing's rattling in there. It's a laser light show in here! Anyway. So there you have it. Creepy Uncle. Best and worst name for a custom saber ever, I think. There's a part of me that really hates the fact that Luke is now a creepy uncle. In that, you know, at least in Ben's retelling of the scene where he's like, I'm gonna murder you. So, luckily that's not precisely what happens, so Luke is not technically a creepy uncle. But still, you have a very accurate representation of Luke's lightsaber with the name of Creepy Uncle. So yeah, this commission is going off to a customer. Before I do that, I will play around with the switches just a bit more, or at the very least figure out exactly what motion we need to activate these two tactiles at the same time, because it is a bit of a rocky thing. So I'll play around with that for a bit more and figure that out before I send it off to the customer, but I wanted to do a quick review and show it off to everyone. This is my first time installing the Creepy Uncle, and it was quite a fun install. Yeah, and the weathering was quite a lot of fun to do. I'm very happy with how it looks in person. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.